It's all top. Well, Will, it's good to see you again. How's things?
And you, Simon? Yeah, very good. Thank you. Very busy. Very good. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, good indeed. Yeah, it's all starting to pick up again this side of the year, so it's all great. Just for everyone that's watching this, Will was with us last year, about November, with his social housing operation that he's brought to us and all the deals that were going on. But, you know, what happened there was we completely kind of got demand outstrip supply effectively. Yeah. So we ran that for 6-7 weeks, and now we're back in the new year. And Will's here to tell us all about the new business that he's got and what's going to go on moving forward. So if I hand it over to Will, you can tell us a bit about where we are today.
Thank you, Simon. Yeah, so obviously we a lot of you guys will remember from last year, we had a flow of some regular social housing properties. And as Simon said, there was just way too much demand and there was supply. So I had to cool down a little bit and just service the existing demand that was there. Luckily, and I'm pleased to say, I've been working really, really hard, myself and a partner of mine, Tim, to source a more regular supply of these social housing properties. And we're now able to do so. So again, I've reached back out to Simon and we're going to offer them exclusively to you guys until they run out again. Really, that's I suppose the bottom line.
Sounds a great deal to us. Tell us a bit more for everyone again, just about the social housing and what sits behind that and how that's of a great benefit to the landlords and the owners these days.
Okay, great. So I'll explain the difference really, I suppose. If we look at a normal buy-to-let property, you're going to have to manage the tenants yourself, you're going to have to manage the maintenance yourself, you're going to have to manage the lettings and employ a letting agent and all of those things. There's all these risks associated with it, particularly if you want to buy a property like lots of us do in a higher yielding area like the northeast or the northwest in some areas. The tenant type in some of those areas can bring its own unique types of risk. So with a social housing property, effectively what we do is we remove all of those risks by having a government-backed long-term rental contract in the property. Effectively, what happens is a company is paid by the government to house vulnerable tenants. They could be vulnerable tenants in any shape or form. But what happens is the government pays that charity or that organisation to look after these tenants, and that organisation pays you, the landlord. And the length of the lease, rather than being a normal tenancy, which will only last for 6 months before it has to be renewed, the length of the lease in these is anywhere between 3, 5 and 10 years. So what that effectively means is if you buy these social housing properties, you buy it and you don't touch it for the whole period of the lease. So whatever happens to the tenants inside the house, whether they come and go, whatever, you get paid because the government backs up your rent 100%. If there's any work that needs to be done in the house, more often than not, the provider of the housing will do all of the work and you won't even hear about it. It's literally, you give them the keys and then you get paid every month and you just wait until you find some money to buy another one.
And it's as simple, it really is as simple as that, you know, and I've worked with Will for quite some time now, so I understand it. It really is that straightforward. You purchase a deal. So you as a business are sourcing those deals specifically on a remit for the charity and the organisation involved?
Exactly, and that's the complicated bit, right? And this is why it's hard as a private investor and why I can add some value to you guys is we can do this at scale. So I can offer a charity 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 properties a month to meet their requirements. And that means that we're really high up the pecking order and they're happy to work with us because we can solve a big problem. Important thing to remember here is we're actually helping to solve the homelessness crisis. We're housing vulnerable people. We're doing some good at the same time as making some really well risk-adjusted money, which is great. So we source property and set up the leases and make sure the property has the right specification to suit the housing provider. That's the complicated bit. We do that. We bring a property to you once the lease has already been agreed. Everything's set up, so you don't have any silly decisions to make about paint colours or toilets or what fridge you put in or anything like that. We do all of that to make sure it's the right spec. And a furniture pack for the property, we sort all of that out. And all you have to do is to say, yes, I like the numbers. We then appoint a solicitor, get the lease made up in your name on your behalf, and you start receiving the rent. It's really as simple as that.
And from start to finish, so an investor comes along, how long is the sort of process? Because you're constantly finding these deals anyway.
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
how quick does it work for an investor coming in?
I'd expect if someone comes in and they are liquid, i.e. funds ready to go, the right type of person and the numbers, I'd aim to have you a deal within a day or two of speaking to us.
And they can be kind of receiving rent a month or so later kind of thing.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's it. As soon as that's it. So if from watching this video, 4 to 6 weeks from now, you can receive your first rent payment, and then every month for the next 5 to 10 years.
So it's a perfect investment for a cash rich, let's call them a cash rich investor.
Absolutely,
who kind of lacks some time, or even those that have got the time but just see this as a diversification in what they already do.
Yeah, I'd say this is right for people who have made money and understand money, because we all know that one investment is never going to change your life. But we all know, for those of us that have made some money, if you can park 100 or 200,000 pounds in an asset that you own completely, and that asset pays you somewhere between 7 and 10% every year, you don't have to touch it, and you have full control and ownership of that asset. That is a very good place to be. So for the people that understand that and recognize that as exactly the right place to be, this is right.
So talking about that then, and about the perfect client, what does that client look like then for you in terms of cash, required and stuff like that? How does that look?
I'd say the most suitable people for this, you need to have access to somewhere in the region of £100,000 of cash to begin with. The properties that we deal with, we're only working with people who can buy them in cash, not with mortgages, because there are complications with mortgages for this type of tenant.
Right, okay.
And it's a bit slower than normal as well. So these things we need to be able to buy with cash and move quickly. That's the bottom line. And those are the people that we're happy to work with on this to keep our deal flow consistent and rolling. That's how it needs to work. I would expect the perfect type of person is someone who could fund one of these properties once a quarter at least, or I'd say that's about right. 3 to 5 of these deals a year. They're priced anywhere between 60,000 and 150,000, and you need to be able to regularly fund these things if you'd like to, and that's the real way to have success from it. Because if you then, I suppose, an example of a client recently, he's successful in business, has a regular mid six figure disposable investable income every year, wants to keep making his money doing what he does, but wants us to invest it for him in these assets that then give predictable income, to build up the legacy, to build up the inheritance. And I said, so that's an answer to your question. Perfect.
What is a sort of typical return? Is it much better than the buy-to-let market? What does it kind of return to an investor look like today?
Well, yeah. So realistically, where we work with these in parts of the country, the yield you would receive is somewhere between 7 and 10% typically. Now, it's important to remember that's a net yield, because there are no letting agent fees to pay. There'll be no management fees to pay. There's no mortgages to pay. So if we're looking at every 100 grand invested, you're going to earn somewhere in the region of probably eight to 10,000 pounds a year in income, and still own the asset, which is worth 100 grand, obviously.
Right. Okay. So and that's a kind of assured all the way through that
yes,
lease or rental agreement.
Yeah, exactly. It's important to remember as well, the companies that are set up to manage the tenants, they're actually very well funded by the government. And some of them are charities, some of them are not charities, but they do rather well out of being funded by the government for this. So it's extremely rare that at the end of that lease, they'd want to stop using it. The high likelihood, and in almost every example we've seen when a lease expires, they tend to extend the lease or offer to extend the lease. So although at the start it might be a 5 or 10 year lease, it might turn into a lease that outlives you, that goes on for your kids, your grandkids, and it's just still going and going and going.
Gotcha. And what I also remember from you saying before was that even at the end of that lease, when you get the property back, it's actually put back into the same state it was when you handed it over.
Yes, exactly.
So the comfort for every other investor out there who wants to dispose of that property at the end, he still has nothing to do other than to give it back to you.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the point, is we give them the keys. If you want to end the lease at the end of it, they give you the keys back. The property should be in a similar condition to how it was when we got it. And it's that simple.
Wow. And again, when we put this out, we'll have a facility that if anyone's got any questions, they can come through to us and we can help you with those answers to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I work with a partner on these particular deals, a guy called Tim. So if either of you want to have a chat with either of us about this, it will either be Tim or myself that talks to you, and you can ask us any questions. We can get you some deals to look at, previous deals, speak to people who own them already, whatever you want, really.
Fantastic. And our plan is from Monday, we're going to start putting out a couple of deals a week, or 2 or 3 deals a day, right? And we're going to just slowly build it up, because we had a big response last time and we couldn't cater for everyone. So we're going to go back to those people initially, and then we're just going to start build almost like a little following. Let's call it that.
Yeah.
Just get people in that are really right for this type of investment. Or think that they're right, 6 or 12 months down the line, and just to sit there and look at the deals coming through. Because I think we've seen people look at a deal, no, that's not right, that's not, and then suddenly something sparks in them, that's the one they want.
Exactly.
And they go ahead with it, and it's really swift. I know that from experience from several of the people that have come from us that have bought from you. So
yeah,
I know that they've enjoyed that experience. It's been really straightforward. And the great thing is, it wasn't a bid for a property that was an auction that they couldn't get hold of. You'd got the property already.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's a massive thing.
Yeah, that's a fair point, actually. We never offer anything that we then have to go and negotiate on, or that we then have to go and set up a lease on. Everything's lock, stock, and barrel. By the time it comes to you guys, we've taken out all of those maybes. We've done all the legwork, and there's a lot of legwork to get to that point. We might have to go through 100 properties to get 5. But we do all of that first, and that's where our business comes in, really. That's what our team does. So
fantastic. And so the buying process then for a client, so typical property, what do they need to do? What's the sort of payment process with you guys?
Let's say you send out a deal on Monday, one of you guys watching this wants to secure it. Either you book a call with myself or with Tim, or you just get in touch with us somehow. Probably the best thing to do is just to, if you can't book a call the time you want, just to email Simon and say, can you ask Will or Tim to give me a call, and then we'll give you a call as soon as we can. Because they do go quite quick. If you like it, you like the numbers, what we'll do is we'll ask for a small reservation fee. We'll appoint a solicitor within about 5 minutes of you saying yes, you want it, and then the rest of the property is paid for when you complete the conveyancing process, which we'll manage for you, which will be about 3 to 4 weeks down the line. So if we started on Monday, the date on Monday is the 22nd, I think, 22nd or the 23rd. There's no reason why the first person who buys the first one on Monday, by the end of March, you should be receiving a rent payment.
Wow, that's pretty quick then. And so what's the plan for the business moving forward? Because you're expanding quite quickly. You're getting on a hell of a lot of properties. Some ideas and some numbers of what we're going to start seeing?
Somewhere in the region, we're going to stick to somewhere in the region of between 10 and 20 properties a month with this model. That for us is easily managed. When you speak to myself or you speak to Tim, we have both had companies with lots of staff and lots of moving parts, and this is actually a push to remove that. We didn't want all the lettings, we didn't want the ongoing maintenance. So this is something that we've got the team and the flow to comfortably deliver 10 to 20 a month, and that's probably where it will sit for now.
Okay, fantastic. And the process from our point of view, so everyone's clear, is we're going to start to put these deals out. What Will does really well is he'll do a little video accompaniment of the financials and a walkthrough of the deal, just on the numbers. Forget about the property for the minute. It'll all be about the numbers. There'll be a downloadable financials document that we'll attach to all that, so you can look through that. But it's great when you hear Will just rattle through those numbers. They make a lot of sense. And if you like that, give us a click, fill out the details, and then one of the boys will be in touch with you. So it's Will or Tim will be in touch. And then they'll run you through those particular deals or others that they might have if that's already gone, or it's not the one for you.
Yeah, it's important to remember that. I think you hit on a key point there, Simon. So don't expect to be choosing kitchens and paint colours and everything. For me, I'm a numbers guy. These are assets that you will never touch, but that will be entirely in your name, you will own, and it's about a result. So what I'm interested in is saying £100,000 into this house, it's going to give you £8,000 a year for the next 10 years, and you still own the house. And those are going to be the numbers, right? So it's money in, money out. It's all about the results. What results can we get? Because frankly, everything in between money in and money out is just academic anyway. It's just nonsense, really. So from my point of view, it will be numbers and results, and that's what we're driven by.
Fantastic. All right. Well, anything else you want to add about the business for the minute?
No, just I look forward to speaking to some new people over the next few weeks.
We'll get cracking from Monday. We'll put this out before that. This will run Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Great.
Obviously all through the week anyway. So no one's going to miss this. It's going to be out there. And we'll also start to put the deals out from Monday. Anyone who sees this before then will be able to pre-register early, get the deals early. So before we put them out to everyone else, but they should be out by about 11 o'clock from Monday. But anyone who registers before, we'll get them to you early from about 8 o'clock.
Perfect.
And then we can work from there. And then every few days we're gonna keep doing those deals.
Good stuff.
And we get some updates from Will as well. And maybe even look through and go through, get one of the investors to do what we're doing. Join us on a call. It'd be great.
Yeah, we can do that, definitely.
How easy that was and what to do and why they're doing it. I think it's really good to understand why investors are doing it. It makes a lot of sense to park some money in an asset that's going to give you some good cash returns with no headaches.
It does at the moment. You know, we're really uncertain economy-wise, employment-wise, where there's not a man or woman on the planet that knows exactly where we're going to go. So I think if you can get a proportion of your overall portfolio, whether that be shares, property, bonds, whatever that may be, a proportion into some pretty much guaranteed asset-backed income, can't be a bad thing to do. Yeah,
that's great. And I'm guessing it's a growing part in the property market at the minute.
It really is, but it's hard to crack. That's the thing. You can't crack it on your own. You know, we spend hours and hours and hours and ages, every moment up until now gives us the ability to be able to do this at a reasonable scale. Yeah. But you can't just rock up and decide that you want to do it, because there's a lot of moving parts. So it is a growing part. And I suppose it's important to remember again that we're actually doing a good thing. We're helping the government solve the homelessness crisis, house vulnerable tenants, look after them, give them a roof over their head, and making money at the same time. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, works for everyone.
Good.
All right. Take it easy. We'll speak to you next week.
Cheers. Have a nice weekend, guys.
Thank you, mate. See you. Bye now. Bye-bye.